Which is better to choose, $3 million in cash today or 1 penny whose amount will double every day for 31 days? A person stands before this choice not because they don't know the correct answer. They stand before it because reality does not provide correct answers. It provides circumstances. Every decision unfolds in time, which no one controls. Between the moment of choice and the moment of outcome, life happens. Needs change, new opportunities appear, old plans collapse. Exponential growth deceives our brain at the level of biological architecture. Evolution shaped our cognitive structures for linear perception of reality, because that was the kind of math that worked in the Pleistocene savannas. When our ancestor saw 3 predators, he understood there were 3 times as many as 1. No doublings, no power functions. Those who survived were the ones who quickly counted in simple categories. $3 million activate a specific neural pattern in the prefrontal cortex. We see the number, understand its meaning, feel its materiality. 1 penny triggers a condescending reaction in the limbic system because it is a symbol of triviality in our cultural memory. But doubling for 31 days remains an abstraction that the neocortex cannot intuitively compute without conscious effort. Mathematics here works brutally. At the beginning of the month, the amounts look ridiculous. Day 1, 1 cent. Day 10, $5.12. Even on the 20th day, we get only $5,248. Linear intuition says that 3 million in hand beats this slow start. But exponential growth has a tipping point where it rises almost vertically. Day 25 gives us over 160,000. Day 28, more than 1 million. And day 31 ends with a result of $10,734,824.84. The difference is more than threefold. But the real depth of this problem lies not in the calculations, but in how our psyche interacts with time and uncertainty. Behavioral economics calls this hyperbolic discounting. Future rewards are devalued in our perception faster than rational analysis would justify. The prefrontal cortex can understand the math of exponents, but the ventral striatum, which registers the expectation of reward, screams now immediately guaranteed. 3 million today means control. It means liquidity. It means the ability to act very second. If a person is ill, if they need treatment, if there is a family crisis, the mathematical advantage in a month turns into cruel irony. Rationality is always contextual. Economists built the theory of utility precisely because abstract data do not reflect the real value of resources for a specific person in a specific situation. There is a point about risk that is often ignored in this problem. When we frame the choice as a mathematical guarantee, we remove the variable of trust. Who doubles the penny? What institution stands behind it? In reality, people choose a smaller but certain amount not because they misunderstand the exponent, but because of healthy skepticism toward promises. The neurobiology of distrust is deeply rooted in our amygdala. When a deal looks too attractive, evolutionary defense mechanisms against deception are activated. But let's assume the guarantees are absolute. Then choosing the penny becomes a test of the ability to think in terms of complex systems. It is a cognitive exercise that separates those who can hold nonlinear processes in their mind from those who rely solely on instinctive assessments. A physicist or programmer who has worked with power functions will see the clue faster. Their professional experience has retrained part of their neural networks to see patterns invisible to others. Here we see the fundamental tension between short-term and long-term thinking. The dopaminergic reward system rewards us more strongly for immediate gratification than for delayed gratification, even if the latter is greater. It is a biochemical trap that forces people to choose less now instead of more later. Walter Mischel's marshmallow experiment in the 60s showed that children able to wait for an extra treat had better life outcomes decades later. Metacognition, the ability to control one's instincts, turned out to be a predictor of success. But there is another side. Choosing 3 million can be an expression of wisdom, not weakness. If a person knows themselves, understands their tendency toward irrational decisions, can honestly admit they will not endure 31 days of waiting without anxiety, without a second doubt, without the temptation to break the deal, then taking the guaranteed sum and investing it wisely at once becomes the optimal strategy. Self-awareness of one's cognitive limitations is also a form of rationality. Time as a variable adds complexity. 31 days may seem like nothing, but in a person's life, it is a period when anything can happen. The economic theory of options teaches us that having a resource now gives opportunities that disappear over time. If a perfect investment appears in a week that requires capital immediately, the lack of liquidity means a lost opportunity. The value of waiting is expressed not only in dollars, but in missed possibilities. There is also the aspect of psychological well-being. A month of waiting with growing capital can be either an exciting experience of wealth development or a source of chronic stress. Cortisol, the stress hormone, destroys health long-term. If a person lives 31 days in anxiety about keeping the deal, about possible failure, about something going wrong, then even a higher financial reward may cost more in terms of quality of life. This problem reveals how we make decisions in conditions of complexity that go beyond our intuitive competence. It shows the gap between evolutionarily instinctive reactions and the demands of modern technological society, where exponential processes are everywhere, from information spread to investment growth. The inability of most people to spontaneously feel the power of doubling through 30 iterations speaks to the archaic nature of our cognitive tools in a new environment. The correct answer is mathematically obvious with a calculator and no urgent needs. But correctness in abstraction rarely translates into correctness in life. Every choice is embedded in a context of values, circumstances, and psychological features of a particular person. Someone with an acute need will choose 3 million and use it in a way that changes their family's destiny. Someone with stability and patience will choose exponential growth and receive 3 times more. Both choices can be right, depending on who chooses and when. The depth of the problem is that it requires us to be mathematicians, psychologists, economists, and philosophers of our own lives at once. To understand the laws of complex systems, to recognize the limitations of our perception, to evaluate context, and to make responsible decisions. The exponent wins only when we are able to step beyond the evolutionary heritage of a brain wired for linearity and immediacy. But let's pause. Mathematics showed the advantage of the exponent. Psychology explained why the brain doesn't feel it. Economics added context. Philosophy revealed the question of value and choice under bounded rationality. Yet the initial framing of the question as a choice between right and wrong hides the main point. In fact, there is no right choice here. There is narrow-minded thinking, the inability to see reality as it is. Multiple, contextual, dependent on countless factors that don't fit into any formula. Patience and risk acceptance are key qualities for success, but they are only the raw foundation of something deeper. The ability to perceive complexity without simplification, to see opportunities where others see only numbers, to understand that circumstances and the ability to manage a resource often matter more than the resource itself. It's like soil for a plant. Without it, nothing will grow, but the soil itself is not yet the plant. We have touched on something essential, but let's go deeper. When we talk about narrow-mindedness, we are actually talking about the inability to hold multiple states in consciousness simultaneously. Cognitive psychology describes this as limited working memory, but the problem is more complex. A person may know about exponential growth, understand the math, see the numbers on paper, yet still feel inner resistance. Why? Because knowledge lives in one part of the nervous system, while the sense of value lives in another. The neocortex calculates. The limbic system feels. The conflict between them creates the illusion of simplicity, where in fact there is turbulence. Patience as a quality also needs examination. We are used to thinking of it as a moral virtue or a skill of self-control. But patience is only possible under certain conditions. When basic needs are met, when there is resilience, when the psyche is not in survival mode. Neurobiology shows that chronic stress reduces gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, the very area responsible for planning the future. A person under pressure loses the ability to wait physically at the level of brain architecture. Therefore, to speak of patience as a universal answer is to ignore that the very capacity to wait is unevenly distributed and depends on the resources a person already has. Risk is an even more interesting concept. We use one word for fundamentally different phenomena. The risk of an entrepreneur investing in a startup differs from the risk of someone betting their last money in a casino. In the first case, there is probability calculation, asymmetry of gain, and the ability to influence the outcome. In the second, pure dependence on chance. When we choose between 3 million now and exponential growth in a month, what kind of risk are we taking? If guarantees are absolute, there is no risk at all, only delayed reward. But if there are no guarantees, then the question ceases to be mathematical and becomes a question of trust in the system. Context determines the value of any resource. 3 million for a person with 10 million in assets means something different than for someone with empty pockets. The same resource has different marginal utility depending on the starting position. Economists know this, but in popular discussions of choosing between magnitudes, we abstract from the reality of individual life. In truth, no one makes decisions in a vacuum. There are always debts, obligations, people depending on us, opportunities appearing and disappearing in time. The ability to see opportunities is a separate skill shaped by experience. Some see 3 million as security, others see investment capital, others see a chance to start a business that in a year will bring more than 10 million from the doubled penny. The quality of perception depends on which neural networks have already been built in the brain through prior experience. A person who has spent years in an environment of active deals and financial operations literally sees a different reality than someone without such experience. They look at the same numbers, but perceive different possibilities. Here arises a paradox. Those most capable of managing 3 million now are often the very ones who mathematically understand the advantage of exponential growth. And conversely, those who choose doubling in a month through correct calculation may lack the skills to effectively use even a larger amount when it arrives. Knowledge of the compound effect does not guarantee the ability to create a compound effect in real life. Perhaps true narrow-mindedness lies in thinking that there exists a single correct answer that works for everyone under any circumstances. Mathematics says one thing, but mathematics describes only one layer of reality. Psychology adds another layer, economics a third, philosophy of values a fourth, social context a fifth. If someone chooses 3 million and a week later buys an asset that doubles in a quarter and then reinvests, creating their own exponent, who chose better? The one who waited a month or the one who started acting immediately? There is a difference between theoretical optimality and practical effectiveness. Theoretically, the exponent wins. Practically, the winner is the one who can turn any resource into more opportunities. It's not just the ability to calculate, but the ability to see where energy can be invested to return multiplied. Such vision develops through years of interacting with complexity, mistakes, failures, and successes. Perhaps success comes through something subtler than patience and risk. Perhaps it comes through cognitive flexibility, the ability to switch between different levels of analysis to hold contradictory truths in the mind simultaneously, to be rational enough to calculate the exponent and pragmatic enough to recognize when context makes the calculation irrelevant. To understand the value of delayed reward and at the same time the cost of missed opportunities today. Narrow-mindedness begins where we stop asking questions, when we accept one system as absolute, when mathematics becomes religion or intuition turns into an axiom. Reality is always more complex than any model we build to understand it. Perhaps true mastery in decision-making lies in the ability to recognize which model applies right now, right here, for this particular person in these particular circumstances.